Hello, everyone, and welcome to the DMV Football Gauntlet. My name is Matthew Heiserman, and today we are joined by three-star high school football recruit Zayvon Miller. Zayvon, it's great to have you on.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Of course, and right off the bat, you're obviously as I mentioned, three-star high school football recruit, class of 2027. Before we get into the recruitment process and all that, can you kind of just break down your football journey when you started, kind of what that looked like when you were first getting into the sport?
Yes, sir. I started football when I was 5. My uncle got me into it, and my dad brought me out there. I liked it. Been playing ever since.
Now, was that flag football? Did you go straight to tackle? I don't know, maybe you've done some 7-on-7.
So when I first started, it was tackle.
Mhm.
Yeah, I knew how to play a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, when you started, were you always a safety or, did you kind of play all around the field?
I think I played all around the field. I know I did play quarterback like once, probably. Yeah, I played quarterback.
Was safety always like your go-to or your favorite position?
Actually, so in rec ball, I played DN or really wherever my coach wanted me to play. So this is my third year playing DB in high school. So I'm
Mhm.
basically new to it. I haven't been playing it my whole life to know how everything works.
Mhm. Absolutely. Now, was football the only sport you played growing up?
I actually played basketball, but I stopped playing basketball and taking it serious to like, how would I say, like 12. I haven't played since then. I
Mhm.
played middle school ball in the eighth grade. That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I guess, as one of the top safeties in the 2027 class, what's one thing you really take pride in when it comes to your play style on the field?
So I like being physical. Like
Mhm.
that's what the game is all about. Being physical, dominate the game, not letting nobody else dominate you.
Mhm. Now, looking at the recruitment process a little bit, I always like to ask people about their first offer and kind of what that felt like. Your first Division One offer was on November 12th, 2023 from East Carolina. What was going through your mind during that moment? How did that feel? Kind of getting the pressure off your shoulders that you got that first offer, because I know that most people usually say getting the first one is the hardest one to get, and then the other ones kind of roll in after that.
Yeah, so that was a great feeling. I loved it, but I didn't let it like get to me and let myself get big headed, brag on it. I just took it and kept working.
Were you kind of expecting to see this much growth in terms of your recruitment over the next few years?
Yes, sir. I plan to make myself bigger, faster, stronger so I can get more and more.
Yeah, I love that. And as a sophomore, you've already received well over 10 Division One offers. You got Florida State, Penn State, Wisconsin, a lot of big schools. What does the recruitment process look like for you?
My recruiting process is great. I have a lot of great relationship with a lot of coaches. Florida State is my top right now, so
Mhm.
yeah, I
Yeah.
love it.
Other than Florida State, which ones have really stood out to you, or maybe you've been talking to them the most?
I don't have this offer, but Louisville, they're really cool and genuine. Brady Brown, the head coach son, it's my dog.
Is Louisville your dream school to get one from?
Yeah, it is.
Mhm.
Because my favorite team is Baltimore, and
Ah,
Lamar Jackson went there, so
yeah.
I love that.
Absolutely. And are there any schools you've received an offer from that maybe you'd like to try and get out for a visit that you haven't had the chance to visit already?
Uh, I would love to visit Penn State. I
Mm,
had that offer, but I never really got the
mhm,
chance to go out there.
mhm. Now I know how you mentioned that, you're obviously a Baltimore Ravens fan,
Yes, sir.
and you play high school football in the DMV area. How much does distance matter when you're picking a school, or is it really just whatever school can be the best for your development and hopefully get you to the NFL level one day?
So I look at it as like relationships and like
Mhm,
how they are with their players. Like, are they going to develop you and
mhm.
have a bond with you outside of football? Like, if I can come to them whenever I need them, like that.
So would you say that your number one thing is kind of just like the coaching staff and how they help you?
Yes, sir.
Mhm. And then, on June 1st, you got to participate in the Under Armour Next football camp. What was that like? Kind of just being surrounded by all the best players in the DMV, getting to prove yourself out there?
So that was a great experience for me because I personally never been to a camp, and it was a lot of good vibes. Some of the players were chatting it up with each other. Yeah, it was great.
Mhm. And then, the DMV is home to some of the most competitive high school football in the country. What's it like going up against that competition? What are you able to learn from the people you go up against? How does that help you build as a player yourself?
It's great. It's like to be a dog, you got to play against the dogs. So
Mhm,
I feel like it just make you better as a player,
mhm.
playing against the other good teams.
Has there ever been a game where it's like there was a really tough matchup, or maybe it was just a tough team in general, a fast wide receiver that beat you a few times?
Yeah, I had a lot of those games.
Mhm.
Piranha as one of them, if you know who that is. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and now that you're in the off season, I know you're in the midst of the recruitment process. But what does a typical day look like for you in terms of practicing and training?
So we had a whole month of 7-on-7. So we basically went on a tour to
Mhm.
like Tennessee, East Carolina, UNC, stuff like that. Now that I'm back, I train. I'm training 3 times this week, and then we got practice next week. So that's basically my day.
Yeah, 100%. And what are you still trying to improve before you reach that college level? What parts of your game are you still trying to work on a little bit?
So I'm just trying to get bigger, faster, because I know the next level is fast. Like,
Mhm.
so I need to work on that, getting faster, bigger, and stronger. Really,
Would you say that speed is the biggest difference that you've seen from high school to college football?
speed is definitely up there, but you also gotta have the strength too, because they are really, yeah,
Just like the overall size of the
yeah,
competition you're going up against. Mhm.
definitely.
And, in terms of the, mental side of football, maybe heading into a game, do you have any superstitions or pregame rituals?
Just music, really.
Mhm.
Sitting there listening to music, getting locked in and focused.
Is there any specific artists you like to bump before games?
Uh, I listen to a lot of Richmond rappers, but like
Mhm,
main big artists, Young Boy, that's really
mhm.
it, really.
Yeah, you hear the young boy answer a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously someone that gets a lot of people pumped up. You mentioned you're a Ravens fan. Are there any, safeties in the NFL you take inspiration from, try and model your game after, maybe like a Kyle Hamilton who plays on the Ravens or someone else, throughout the rest of the league?
Yes, sir. Kyle Hamilton is really like my main focus. Like every time we look, I always watch him and see what he does.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I love to hear that. Is there anything specifically you like about his game or you really pay attention to when you're watching him?
How physical he is. He's
Mhm,
basically like he's got that dog in him. So that's how I want to be when I
mhm.
get to that level.
And then, what's one thing the average football fan doesn't necessarily know about the safety position?
How hard it is. Safety is basically like you're the last line defense. You got to see everything.
Mhm.
Running back get past the linebackers. You got to be there. So like yeah, that's basically the hardest thing.
Now, I've talked to a few wide receivers, and a lot of them say that, like, in general, people think that wide receiver is like a fancy position. You're not being that physical, but that's not really the truth. You're obviously being extremely physical against a cornerback, against a safety, and you just got to fight for the ball. How is that for you, kind of just going up against maybe a bigger wide receiver? How are you able to hold your own in that situation?
So I actually have somebody that's like a big receiver on my
Mhm.
team.
Yep.
Avion Lewis, Markel Dabney. Those are big dudes.
Mhm.
I just basically play my game. You can't think about how big somebody is
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, it's football. Football is a physical sport. So,
Absolutely. And you got 2 years left of high school. Is there anything you wanna achieve, maybe personal as well as team goals that you're looking to achieve during those last 2 years?
yes, sir. So, I want to win a state championship for sure.
Yeah.
State championship would be great. Not only for me, for my whole team. We really want that.
100%. Now, uh, I do have one final question to ask before we wrap things up. What's one random fun fact about yourself, just so the people watching can get to know you a little better at a personal level?
So a fun fact, I like to play basketball a little bit. I'm
Mm,
not I
mhm,
like in the gym, fun time, just
mhm,
play around, play basketball. But I also like watching movies too. I like watching scary
mhm.
movies. I got a sleeve, scary.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir. What's
that
what's your favorite movie of all time?
Home Alone. That's
That
definitely
same here, same here.
yeah, Home.
Uh, no, that's funny that you mentioned that. I think replayability, you watch it every Christmas time. Oh,
That's
always hits. And, you mentioned basketball. What have you been able to learn from basketball that kinda translates to football? That I guess even if you don't really play competitively anymore, even if it's just at the gym,
yeah.
what are you practicing repetition in basketball that translates on the football field as well?
So really, like your agility, your stamina,
Mhm,
you can't get tired on the basketball court. Like you
mhm.
get tired, somebody gonna blow past you, you give up easy points. You get tired on the football field, you get a loaf, somebody can score on you, and it's just something you don't want.
Yeah, 100%. With that being said, I can't thank you enough for coming on. Is there anything else you wanna say to the people watching before we wrap things up?
Nah, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, big thanks to Zayvon Miller for joining us on the DMV Football Gauntlet, and as always, we will see you next time.